Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, I just wanted to throw out another video. Just kind of, go over exactly what a targeted individual is for those that have no idea what it is, and for those who have no idea what's going on right now. And I think it's crucial that I just kind of throw out what I know and what is actually happening right now to this world and this earth right now, and to humanity right now. And so I'm just going to kind of throw it out there in a nutshell and just kind of let you guys kind of digest what I have to say. If you don't know what a targeted individual is, we are basically a group of people right now that are being hunted, and we're being hunted silently, and we're being hunted through a Nazi Stasi type of program that was used pre World War II, before the Holocaust happened, before the extermination of over 2 million Jews. And what they did was they used community organizations to basically destroy, threaten, gang stalk individuals to the point where they committed suicide, or they were placed in mental institutions for the rest of their lives. A lot of them were also incarcerated for acting out against some of the gang stalkers that were targeting them. And it's a very sophisticated type of program, and it's made to look like mental illness for a reason. And what these people are doing is they are systematically attacking us physically, psychologically, psychically, and they're also attacking basically us spiritually as well. So it's an attack on all levels. The gang stalking is made to harass the individual wherever they go. At work, their rumors are started, made up about the individuals. Turn this fan on. Rumors are started. Individuals are made to look unstable. They pass around rumors that they're sexual deviants. Basically, until the individual either quits or gets terminated because of acting out against the gang stalkers who have infiltrated the employment that they're involved with, in order to harass, demean, slander, and defame them. Um, if you're new to this, you have never heard of a targeted individual. Um, it's something that's becoming a little bit more mainstream. There's a couple of documentary groups that are actually making documentaries on it right now. I'm currently going to be involved with one of them as well, and they're actually going to be interviewing me here in the next couple of weeks as well, to kind of go over my story. The intelligence agencies are in charge of it. You've got the NSA, the FBI, CIA. Pretty much every intelligence agency is aware that it's being done. Law enforcement at some of the local levels are also aware that it's being done, and also help with it as well. Although I don't believe all of them are involved, and I think there's a lot less than people want to say there are. With that said, I know people are going to argue about that, but I believe that a lot of the law enforcement people don't like this going on. And in fact, there was a couple of laws that were passed in California where gang stalking was actually made and put into law as a crime against people. And who instigated that was the law enforcement in those areas. So it was becoming such a problem in those areas that law enforcement was getting tired of it and decided to uh, implement some laws against it. What else? I was MK Ultra when I was younger. MK Ultra is a program that was put into play post 1945, I believe, when they brought over. There was a project called Project Paperclip. They brought over about 14 to 15,000 scientists that were involved in the mind control projects, the time travel projects, and some of the occult projects that the Nazis were working on in Germany. And they were actually using the Jewish people, mainly the kids, to do experiments upon. Um, using these types of tactics of mind control, trauma-based mind control, and some of the other um, things that they were doing. They were torturing people, and they were actually finding out how much torture people could take before they would crack. Basically, is what they did, and it's a really sick, desensitizing type of way of programming somebody. They use kids when they're between the ages of 2 and 6 years old, and they basically they rape them, or they beat them, or they beat kids in front of them, or they make the kids beat up kids in front of them, or they say if they don't do something, then this kid's gonna die. If they don't eat their hamburger or whatever, then they kill the kid next to them. I mean, they do some really sick, disgusting things, these people do, and these are all being orchestrated. These projects are all being orchestrated by our intelligence agencies, and they're still going on to this day. MK Ultra got found out about because some college kids actually broke into some of the buildings during one of the what was it, protests that were going on in the 1960s, because of Richard Nixon and what was going on with the Watergate. And they broke into some of the buildings and came up with a whole bunch of documents relating to mind control, MK Ultra, Project Monarch. And in these documents, it was fully compromised to the fact that these intelligence agencies were actually doing these projects since 1946. They were actually being used and being orchestrated on the general public. Also, they were being used on military personnel, and they were actually torturing people, U.S. citizens and U.S. military people, in order to fine-tune their mind control projects. And once this information came out, the church committee validated it. It was basically public record, and supposedly they quit doing the MK Ultra, but they didn't quit it. They just named it something else, and basically didn't call it MK Ultra anymore. They called it, I think it was Project Artichoke. There was also COINTELPRO, Project COINTELPRO, and Project Pegasus was another one that came out. Also Project Phoenix was another one. So they just basically came out with 4 or 5 more different projects, and just kept doing the same thing. They have been targeting individuals since the late 1970s through the 80s, through the 90s to the year 2000, and they basically fine-tuned it with the technology, virtually making it impossible for any individual to escape the 24/7 surveillance that they use. And they can pretty much hack into every device that we have. I've had devices where I didn't even have my Wi-Fi on, and they were still getting into them and hacking into them, so without Bluetooth either. So they were finding ways to get in, I think, through satellite. I have videos on here of radiation, attacking me with radiation, EMF, energy weapons they used on me. I was actually working at a hardware store, one with the orange logo, if you can guess what that is. And while I was working, a gentleman in the department next to me, I started feeling things that were, all week I'd been feeling like bubbling underneath my skin and kind of this tingling sensation in my back, around my lower back area. And it was coming from different directions. Well, one day I finally caught the direction it was coming from, and I actually saw a gentleman leaning underneath a bay with a hole in a box that had like a vent that was actually, you could see like a venting type of thing that was actually protruding, not protruding, but intruding inside of it. And it was actually a RF energy weapon that he was using to shoot upon me while I was actually putting boxes away. He was using a box to conceal it with a hole in it so it didn't burn the box and catch it on fire. I had a witness come over, another gentleman came over, saw the hole in the box. I asked the gentleman what was in the box 3 times. He wouldn't say a word. He looked like a deer caught in headlamps. I thought he was either going to fight or run. I didn't know what he was going to do, to be honest with you. My friend was telling me you should kick his ass, for which I did, and I'm glad I didn't. These weapons are not illegal right now currently. People are allowed to use these weapons currently, and it's not illegal to have them. So I would have actually went to jail for basically assault if I would have attacked a gentleman. I told the manager about it. He basically laughed in my face. I went home, and you know, I just kind of went home and was kind of freaked out on the way home, and it was pretty scary. That's when I knew that, you know, I had actually embarked on something that was a little bit more serious than I anticipated. I hadn't had anything happen in a long time, you know, that was physically you know, challenging to me. I have never lost a fight in my entire life, a physical fight. In fact, I actually, the last fight I can actually say that maybe I lost was a fight I got into a club, and I actually beat up 3 guys. You know, a cop. I beat up a cop too. I actually hit a cop, knocked him out, and got put into a full Nelson by another cop, and he actually took me down finally. So if I can say I lost a fight, I guess it was that one. But I did take down 2 bouncers, the guy that I was originally fighting, and I wasn't drunk at all. I just black out when I lose it. Part of my MK Ultra training, I guess. But yeah, so I've never lost a physical fight, and I don't plan on losing one soon. I don't plan on losing any fight soon against these people. I'm not afraid of them anymore at all. What I try to use now is I try to use my, you know, try to be loving and try to be, you know, caring and compassionate to these people, because I know where they're headed, and it's not going to be a good place when they find out where they're going. And I know where I'm going. I know that I've been saved, and I don't care whether I live or die. I know where I'm going. So it doesn't matter how much turmoil. It doesn't matter how much I say about this. You know, if they're going to come and get me, they're going to come and get me. It don't matter. So there's nothing that's going to stop them from doing it, and there's no way that. And if they do come for me, I mean, I'm going to go down fighting. I mean, I'm not gonna just like roll over. So I'm sure they know that by now. They know my training, so they know what I've been through. They know what I'm capable of. But anyway, it's a takedown program, what they're putting us into, and what's been happening is there's been these entities that have basically been controlling this entire planet for thousands of years, and the Illuminati are the families that were chosen to actually help them fulfill some of the occult knowledge experiments that they were going to be embarking on in order to trap us. And these entities, the main goal of these entities is basically to feed off of our misery, our selfishness, our anger, just all those negative emotions these entities just feed off of. And so you can imagine what rush hour is like. You can just imagine how many entities are running around rush hour traffic. But yeah, it's the only way that they can stay on this realm, in this realm that we live on currently. So they need us here to feed off of. And so they've been using deception and lies, and just basically using the politicians, using excuse me, a lot of these other people that are up in government, Trilateral Commission. A lot of these people are puppets for them as well. They're just basically puppets for these things. They're fallen angels, archons, whatever you want to call them. They're basically negative entities, and they've been around, like I said, for thousands of years. And this has been, planet Earth has been a prison planet for thousands of years. I hate to say it. There is definitely a universal creator, and there is definitely Christ. Jesus Christ was definitely here on this earth and did die for our sins, 100%. The thing that they don't tell you with the religion part, which is a big deception as far as the religion part, is that Christ consciousness is in every single one of us. Every human being has Christ consciousness in us. It's not something that you have to drink red wine to, eat crackers to, you know, put candles out at certain days, you know, eat certain meats on certain days. Christ is inside all of us. And so what the religions have been doing is basically using a lot of this knowledge to basically enslave us further into these. I mean, and they're not all bad. They're not all of them have done it on purpose. Some of them are just kind of following what's been happening for years and years and years. But the ones that created it to enslave us. And when the Bible was actually created, people were not allowed to translate it. In fact, there were 9 people that were burned to the stake for trying to translate the Bible. They burned 9 people to the stake because they wanted absolute control over the Bible, because they did not want people to know the knowledge that was in it, because it was sacred knowledge that people would pay money for, and a lot of these religious factions were using it as a way to make money and to basically they were corrupt, and they were using the people to basically make them rich, and kind of like some of the evangelists today you see out there, they doing the same exact thing. And it's really sad, because here we are, we've got like 30,000 people or 30,000 children that die every year that starve to death, and here the Vatican is with their gold crowns and their gold staffs and their candle. I mean, I'm sure their candle holders are worth probably $100,000 a piece at the Vatican. And we got 30,000 kids that are starving every single year. That's pretty pathetic. So yeah, there's a lot of bullshit to that. Jesus Christ, I feel, was a great human being, and he spent most of his time with the vagrants, the drunks, the prostitutes. Those are the people that needed his love, and those are the people that he witnessed to. And the Pharisees and a lot of the priests couldn't stand Jesus Christ because of that, because he would go talk to the prostitutes and help try to save the thieves, and and they couldn't stand that. That was something they hated about him. And that's one of the reasons why they went after him, is because he wouldn't follow their laws and their religious laws. And Jesus Christ knew, and just as all of us that have Christ consciousness inside of us know, that the goodness and the love and the decency of Christ is inside of all of us, and all we have to do is reach in and untap it, and that's all there is to it. And that's what raises our vibrations. That's how we get to that next level. So just for those that are unaware of that, and I know there's people that are going to be totally disagreeing with me on that, because they're really entrenched into the religion that they're in. And I'm not saying that there's no God. There's definitely a universal creator, and I'm saying that there is a Jesus Christ for sure, 100%. A lot of the Bible, a lot of the stuff in the Bible has been used in order to enslave and divide people against one another. And all these religions, I mean, a lot of these, the Muslim religions and the Hindu religions and the Buddhist religions, they're so similar in so many different ways, but they all kind of follow the same kind of stories, and they've just been used to divide, people of religion, and so that people don't find who the real true God is, and so that they can keep us enslaved here, so we don't move on to that next level. So yeah, it's a very well crafted plan. Everything that's basically everything that you look at, you need to look at upside down. That's how you see it. I don't even watch the news. I don't watch anything anymore as far as TV goes. Everything's so subliminal. Everything is so just based on mind control. It's sickening. What has happened is, if you've noticed that things are changing, things are getting different. Technology's kind of booming like huge right now. There's a lot of things happening right now, and one of the main things that you guys need to understand, if you have not been awakened yet, is that basically this whole entire Earth right now, the whole globe, is controlled right now. It's all on a matrix control grid, and what's happened is they're using the chemtrails, and they're putting in aluminum oxide. And the aluminum oxide is coming down, and it's basically coating every structure on this planet, every structure of land that human beings actually occupy. And it basically, by having all this aluminum oxide coated, it basically maps out the entire Earth. It grids it. And then what's happening along with it is these nanobot particles are also dropping down with it. And these nanobot particles are able to go into the pores of your skin, and they actually are able to utilize and go into your bloodstream, and they actually affect the way your nervous system works, and they go into your brain, and they can actually map and control your actual brain through this technology. The HAARP was created for climate control, and I would say 80% of it for mind control. What's going on with the HAARP towers is they're shooting out their EMF energy waves into the cell towers, into your local cell towers. Those local cell towers are basically going across the aluminum oxide particles, and it's basically creating an entire gridlock of basically mind control that the nanobots inside of our bodies basically feed upon, and they're energized by the EMF energy that actually comes from these rays. So it's a very sophisticated system, but they've done a really good job at fine-tuning it, and they've had a lot of time to do it. If they've been working on mind control since 1940, and where we're at right now, you can imagine how far it's gone. So when these people talk about hearing things that are being sent into their brains, B2K type of voice to skull phenomenon, it's definitely happening. They're able to do that. They've done it in wars where they've had some of the Iraqi soldiers surrender, because they sent a direct energy V2K basically into their heads, saying that Allah wants them to put down their weapons, and they put down all their weapons. So they've been using this technology in wars so far. They've been using it in a lot of the protests that have been going on. They're using it on whistleblowers. They're being targeted as targeted individuals, activists, any political dissident, anybody who represents anything that's out of the norm. Atheists are being targeted. Pagans who don't follow their rules are being targeted because they have a lot of the knowledge. And a lot of this will be, you'll read about it in my book. And most of my book is science fiction, but there's a lot of truth in it as well. I would say a lot of the stories that are in this book are actually true. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing the book, is so that I can hide a lot of this information in there. Playing the game that they play. They play this invisible game with us. I'm basically playing an invisible game and hiding my information from them. I know a science fiction novel, if it's written really well, will definitely sell a lot more copies than a non-fictional book about targeted individuals, and that's why I've chosen to do it this way. We need to wake the people that aren't awake and let them know that this is happening and it's not bullshit. This has been ready to happen for a long time. It's just finally getting down to the disclosure part where a lot of this dark stuff is starting to surface, and it's going to get darker. These entities are out there right now, and sometimes you can snap pictures and catch some of them. I've got some pretty weird pictures. I'll try to put them on my next tube and show you guys, but it's definitely an experience to see. And I'm going to go ahead and close it. But I want to be right back because I want to get my my audio and let you guys hear something really quick. So hang on just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, I wanted to play this just so you guys can hear. I think this is the one. No, maybe it's not. Hang on. Not that one either. Okay, this is what happened. This is when I left. Let me solve it really quick. So this is after I got shot with a microwave energy weapon. I went out to my car. This is basically me in the car. I put on the recorder basically as a testimony to what had happened to me. So as you'll be able to hear, I'm pretty serious about what happened.
One of the freight boxes. He had it contained in a freight box. He was zapping me at fucking work with it. You can fucking believe that shit. And I just fucking, I left. I can't do this. I mean, what am I supposed to fucking do? How do I fight that? I mean, they're hitting me and torturing me with RF wave weapons at my work. I can't even fucking believe what I just saw. And the manager, Sean, just laughed in my fucking face about it. He thought it was fucking funny. I'm really fucking hurt right now. I don't know what's gonna happen in the next 2 weeks. I have no idea. All I know is that, God, I just want you to be with me and keep me strong, okay? And just look over my family as best you can if something happens. And just pray that you be with them. I can't even fucking do this anymore. I just can't believe what I just fucking saw. I mean, that's not fucking make-believe shit. We got caught red-handed. This guy fucking didn't know what to do. Oh my God. I've never seen anything like this. I've never fucking seen a whole fucking company doing this to a human being like this. I've never fucking seen it. I didn't think it was fucking possible for people to do this to somebody like this. Who the fuck does this to people?
And you're going to hear in a minute, I'm cussing at a neighbor that's been hitting me with weapons. He was outside of his house as I was coming home. And you're going to hear me act out on him a little bit. So this is kind of what happens with the targeted individual. It probably wouldn't matter since they're all involved. Now, I didn't know that then. Need more evidence than that. Here's the part where I passed my neighbor. You can see the kind of rage it puts a person in.
Bring that shit in my house tonight, motherfucker. You understand me? They're not bringing that shit to my house tonight, bitch.
I know it's probably hard to hear with the music playing and shit, but anyway, so that's me getting home, and I just thought you guys might want to hear that. I've got a lot of audio of being harassed at work, a lot of different things that have happened. Also, a lot of things that are really uncanny with family members as well. I've got a lot of evidence on audio, but I just kind of wanted to share that with you guys as well. And just keep in mind, you guys, we just need to wake the masses. Everything's going to be fine. Do not fear these people. If you fear them, your vibrations will lower and you will give them power over you. And that is the one thing you have to do, is take your power back. You have to treat them with love and ignore them the best you can. If they're using stimuli, try to find ways to eradicate that stimuli. I sometimes wear glasses because they use LED headlamps. So a lot of times I'll wear glasses, basically tinted glasses, so it alleviates the different colored headlamps that the gang stalkers use. But it's really important that you raise your vibrations, necklaces, get into the metaphysical a little bit. There's nothing wrong with it. It actually helps raise your vibration levels. Use a lot of meditation and prayer. And, you know, I pray for all you guys and gals, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna beat this, and we just have to stick together. And with family members, just try not to bring this up. Try not to bring this stuff up. Put all your stuff away for the time being. You know, the time of getting their license plate numbers, that stuff's not working. We obviously know that. You have to have really, really good proof. And obviously you have to catch their hand in the cookie jar in order to make something happen, because it goes so high up to the judges, to the politicians. They all know that this is happening. A lot of them do. Not all of them, but a lot of them do know that this is happening, and they're covering it up for some reason. So we got to awake the masses and let them know that what's happening, and just try to do it slowly. Just kind of plant the seed here and there, and eventually they're going to start seeing things that are going to kind of start making sense to them a little bit more, of the things that you're saying to them. So other than that, you guys try to hang in there, and those that listened today and didn't know what a targeted individual was, I appreciate you listening. We're not crazy. This stuff is happening. It's just really hard for people to believe. There's some evidence I have there. I've got other evidence too. All of us have some type of evidence that you know, we've been able to hold on to. A lot of it disappears and vanishes, though. I'll definitely say there's something weird to that. Either family members or somebody else has taken the stuff, but really weird stuff. But anyway, you guys have yourself a good day, and I really appreciate you guys looking in today. Take care now.